Alright, so again, I'm just checking in to see how you're doing. Hope that you're getting some work done. Hope that you're on schedule. And I also hope that procrastination didn't kick in, right? So stay focused. Continue to work on your specific task. I know some persons may say, well, I could multitask. I could open up several documents, maybe on the computer, or probably have several books in front of me, do different subjects at one time. Not too sure if that is the best way to spend your time when studying. It may be more advantageous to focus on one thing at a time. Of course, you might be able to focus on maybe two different subjects that has some similarities and do okay, but some persons that may confuse them. So for example, imagine you're doing physics and you're also doing probably calculus. Some persons that may be a little confusing for them, so they may study physics probably for half an hour, and then they may write, if they're doing, let's say they're doing English, they may do some English stuff for another half an hour, and then probably go back to the physics. Right, so it may be more advantageous to do it that way, do completely different subjects. If you want to call that multitasking, now it's not technically multitasking, it's just you set aside maybe 2 hours to do some study, and probably for half an hour you do some physics, for you take a break, and then you for another half an hour you do some English, and then you take a break, then you go back to physics, and so forth. Right, maybe that's how you spend your time, and that may be more advantageous than doing two similar subjects. However, of course, there are some persons who may argue and say no, do similar subjects, and that way you might be able to have more gains, right? Probably so. You experiment with it and see if it works for you. I remember some persons were also asking the question, they asked me the question recently, what kind of place should I study in? Should I study maybe in a quiet room or a noisy room? Should the room be well lit, or should the room be a little dark? Well, again, that all depends on your comfort level, and after experimenting with it, you can determine which study space is producing a better result for you. So you might use music. Some persons say, music that could distract them, then don't use music if that will distract you. Some persons, they may say, okay, well, I could use maybe classical music, and that will help me to get more, be able to remember more, be able to work for longer periods of time, be able to focus for longer. Possibly so. I remember listening to Justin's song. That's Justin. That's Justin. Justin Song, Sung, and Justin is a former medical doctor. He's also a full-time learning coach and a consultant. And he was making the point that, and you could also find him on YouTube as well. He was making the point that research kind of doesn't show anymore that classical music helps with a person's ability to absorb information and recall it. But for some people, of course, that may work, right? But I'm not going to say, just like him, I'm not going to say that it will work for everyone, right? So there are some persons that it will work for, other persons it wouldn't work for. So don't stress yourself out listening to classical music if you are not benefiting from it, but believing based on what may have been the viewpoint in the past that it works. Don't stress yourself out if it's not working for you. Maybe you need a quiet space. Possibly you need to be in an open area, or probably you need to be in a cramped area. When I say cramped, some persons, they may need to be in a small room, probably facing the wall, so that they don't get distracted. Probably close the door if you have the door, or close the blinds so that you don't have to look outside and be distracted by birds flying, or probably people walking, or cars, or anything like that. And also too, it may be advantageous when you're studying or you're doing your quiet work to put on some headphones, maybe noise cancelling headphones if you have that. It doesn't have to be that you're listening to anything, you just put it on. Also too, I know some persons may just put on their headphones and nothing is playing through it. It's just the feeling of the pressure against the air. Maybe it's the feeling of just having something on your head, but no music or song is coming out from it. And of course, I also saw that some persons they may experiment with using like noise, like a fan in the background, and they say that help them to really zero in and focus on the information and help them to even retain more and work for longer periods of time. And also too, there are some persons who may say, you know what, nature songs. So the sound of the ocean in the background, or birds, or rain, that may work well for them. So you may want to probably go on YouTube and find some rain songs or find some nature songs and see if that can help you to focus more. Of course, depending on the time of the day, that may also influence your ability to focus on something. That may also influence your energy level. So be mindful of when you study as well. So take these into consideration, and all the best.